From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of LALATE with huge news tonight on your crypto, your stocks, your bonds, and of course, your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. In tonight's recording from the shores of Santa Monica, California, we have a lot to go over for May 28th, 2022, as a fourth stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state. The great news is I'm going to get you that fourth stimulus check later in this recording. A massive fourth stimulus check if you're single, if you're married, if you're with children, without children, if you're on benefits, if you're not on benefits. And later in this recording, we're going to go over that incredible check, which is in every U.S. state. Then we'll be turning to the Build Back Better Act and the economic events today that shaped its future. We have a lot of them, as the auto sales numbers this last Friday plummeted down 24% year to date. This is signaling that there's big drops of certain industries in the U.S. economy, and they are going into recession, like the auto market. Then we'll be turning to the housing decline. Housing sales fell 17% year to date in a new number released late Friday. The latest details on that front as well. Next up, the shocker, as inflation may be soothing, not softening, but at least soothing at 4.9% down April number year to date. The latest details across the board is that we're going into recession. The latest on tonight's recording, as the U.S. economy will be going into a 2-year recession. What does that mean for your money? The latest details and why you need to get every fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state right now. Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. And step 3, get those incredible checks. With a recession looming, what does this mean for your money? Well, the stock market crash of 2022 has just started, because a downward spiral in a bear market means a 20% downward drop, and we've just started. We could be going 40% down. All the latest details in tonight's recording across the board. Then, of course, we'll be looking at the big stocks that took plummeting this week. The housing market crash, what's at issue, as numbers continue to erode, and what could be coming thereafter. Then, of course, we'll be turning to why the erosion of so many industries has happened so dramatically. And finally, why the big money at issue with those MSCs, with everything else that you want, with the big money that Americans are in need of, is heating up in the Build Back Better Act. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, the excitement starts right now. Over this 1-hour broadcast, State of the Very End, we'll be going over big checks, big sums of money, and big ways to get that money. And the excitement starts right now on a weekend edition of Evenings LA, starting right now. And good evening, everybody. It's a big night with incredible news across the board with your fourth stimulus checks of 2022. In tonight's recording, we got to go over a lot of stuff. But the one that I want to start with tonight is a big shocker. It came in late last night on Friday night, and I sent out an alert to viewers of this channel. What was that shocker? The international price of Brent crude going through the roof. Yes, you saw that number. It went to $120 a barrel on Friday night. This is a big trouble, worrisome signal. Why? Because I was projecting that the number, which was hovering at about 111, 114, 117 over the last few days, would stay relatively calm until the Chinese lockdown ends in June. But now, as the Memorial Day weekend starts, as you're about to hit the road, the price of gasoline surged out of control. Why? It's not because of Memorial Day weekend. It's not because of China. It's because of that major deal I have been talking about over the last 2 weeks. This is huge breaking news right now. As we go into a big Memorial Day weekend, what's happening overseas on Sunday? On Sunday, individuals from the European Commission will reportedly meet and solidify and ratify one of the provisions of the sixth stimulus package. That is, an embargo of Russian oil. This was the deal that I've been talking about for several months. And a few days ago, they said, at least the European Commission that's behind this, and its President Ursula von der Leyen, that they're days away. We took it like it was another statement from Nancy Pelosi, days away, imminent, just around the corner. No, They didn't mince their words. They're doing it on Sunday. On Sunday, they reportedly will this weekend sign into law the embargo of Russian oils of all the Western allies. This is breaking news. This is big news. This is why that presidential number, that Brent crude international number, surged so dramatically overnight. The international price of Brent crude, which gauges how much oil is internationally, surged out of control. From 111, 117 to suddenly 121 late Friday night this Memorial Day weekend. Not because you're on the road, not because of the holiday, not because of anything in the United States, because of this major deal. And this major deal is good news for you and the future of gasoline prices. Why? This deal will embargo Russian oil, get all the Western allies, with the exception of the waiver countries, off of Russian oil. Those countries that get a waiver are Hungary, Slovakia, and Czech Republic. When will the deal be voted on? Sunday. Sunday in Brussels is the breaking news report I have for you tonight. That means that all the Western allies will have fully embargoed of the Russian oil by the weekend. What does this mean for your money? What does this mean for your situation? First, it's great news that there's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state, because this oil deal will take a few weeks to unravel. Those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state are coming up late in this recording. Stay with me. I'm going to show you how to get them. And they're a lot of money, upwards of $85,000. Step 1, subscribe to this channel. Step 2, become a member. And step 3, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The forced stimulus checks that are in every U.S. state are in addition to the checks in the future that would come from the Build Back Better Act. Now, those checks in the future from the Build Back Better Act are good, but the situation at hand with those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state, you want to grab those, because this oil deal will become a little bit dicey. Let me tell you why. First, because they're getting off of the Russian oil, the oil will go up. The price of oil will go up. Less oil will be available. There'll be more shortages. There'll be more embargoing of the Russian oil. That'll bring the prices up of oil in the United States, potentially, you're ready for this, another $1 a barrel, another $1 a gallon, short term, until they get the backup plan ready. So you're enjoying this wonderful Memorial Day weekend on the road with me. Yeah, I'm on your cell phone, aren't I? You're driving on the road and you're like, pull over to the side of the road. LA has something really important to pay about gasoline. Yeah, I'm saying if you got the gasoline right today, fill it up, because it's going to be a lot more expensive by the 4th of July weekend. You may want to not be on the road that weekend. $1 more a gallon? Yeah, but here's what it gets interesting. If you've been with these all this last week, I told you that the reason why they're trying to get the Build Back Better Act done, to give you additional forced stimulus checks, is all this economic uncertainty. And one of them was that we thought, my reporting over the last week, that the price of gasoline would be stable in the United States until early June, when China comes off of lockdown. When China comes off of lockdown and then they start driving again, they're a major consumer of gasoline, and the price is going to go through the roof. Well, they haven't come off of lockdown yet, and that is another thing that would add fire on top of the flames of the breaking news report tonight. That is why the price of gasoline in the pump will be going up dramatically in the next few days, as this deal is signed on Sunday for the full embargoing of the Russian oil by the Western allies. Then, when China comes on the lockdown, I expect the price of gasoline to go even higher. Now, when does it come lower, LA? This is all bad news so far. It comes lower when the Western allies, all fully embargoing the Russian oil, then pivot and get their backup plan in line. This has been the really major issue over the last months, since the month of March, when Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. I've been saying there's a lot of options to get the backup plan for that oil already, and they haven't had the backup plans. And one of the reasons why I thought this deal being done on Sunday is good news for you indefinitely is that when they all feel the hurt, when they're all off of the Russian oil, they all have to pivot to something else. If it's only 1 or 2 countries pivoting off of Russian oil, which has been the United States and other countries so far, we don't all are part of the hurt. When everyone feels the hurt at the same time, then everyone rushes to find the backup plan. And what will be the backup plan? Well, it has been a lot of options on the table. Initially, it was supposed to be the Iranian oil, removing the sanctions against Iran because they're vowing to end the proliferation of nuclear warheads. That would be the JCPOA. That's a great deal. That would work. The better deal, of course, is removing some of the sanctions against Venezuela, and that would be the biggest producer, exporter of gasoline internationally. Of course, this has to be done on an international level. The West Texas part of the equation is not enough gasoline for us or any of the Western allies. We're missing about 2.5 million barrels a day because OPEC Plus reduced production and because of the Russian oil is no longer part of the equation. This is why it's so important to get these forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. The economic uncertainty of this economy, the fact that I'm sending out alerts to you as members on a Friday night of a major deal happening on Sunday in Brussels, shows you how complicated this economy is. And that's why, if I have to send you out alerts on a Friday night about something happening in Brussels, that shows you the urgency of getting those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. These forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state are huge, and they're for you if you're single, if you're married, if you have children, if you don't have children, if you're on benefits like SSI or SSDI, if you rent, you own. Step 1, subscribe to this channel right now. Under the video where it says subscribe, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. Where it says join, join right now. And step 3, stay with me to the second half of this video because we're going to go over those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. It's this economic uncertainty with the oil situation tonight that you need to get every darn check available because the situation is so fluid. Now, let's turn to the other issues at hand, which is, of course, the Build Back Better Act. Not the Build Back Bear Act. Maybe we should call it that. The Build Back Bear Act. Yeah, we're in a bear market, and we need to build back out of that bear market. The Build Back Better Act has great news tonight as the negotiations continue between the two lead negotiators. They're in the tow truck. They're driving that tow truck over the finish line. The tow hitch is attached, and everything is smooth sailing from here except Medicare. Those provisions that would survive the negotiations of Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer, we have guidance based upon the comments of Joe Manchin back in 2021. Joe Manchin said 2 provisions he would never agree to in the Build Back Better Act are anything that expands Medicare or paid leave. So as a team, let's now look at the provisions of the Build Back Better Act and see which likely provisions would survive the negotiations of Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer, who are negotiating right now, and which provisions would not survive. All right, there's 3 clauses and 3 add-ons. The first add-ons of checks is $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. That's likely to survive because Joe Manchin wants provisions that helps the citizens of the state, and guess what? No one can afford a home. You're going to have that housing crash data coming up later in this recording. The housing market crash is fully upon us, and the only way to alleviate its strains is $25,000 towards the purchase of a first home. The second add-on, would that survive? $250 billion of free home health care. No way. That is not going to survive. That, again, is expansion of the Medicare program. He is not going to do that. Number 3, MSC, baby. Would MSC survive? Of course it would survive. Why would we think it would not survive? That is the wonderful provision that so many senators told thousands of viewers of this channel over the last year that they're putting in there. Those senators, of course, were Schumer himself. He was among the senators who said he was going to put that in there. Casey, Coons, Warren, Wyden, Sanders, and Schumer told thousands of viewers of this channel over the last year that they're putting those MSC checks in there. So that would survive. Now let's go to the individual clusters and see the likelihood of the individual clusters and their checks surviving. Hazard pay. Yes, I believe it would survive. That earned income tax credit for my essential worker. 1 more year, established under the third stimulus. 1 more year, absolutely. $4,000 of elder care, $4,000 of care for young children. I believe they would survive so long as they're not being funded by Medicare. Home repairs, absolutely, that would survive. That is very much needed in West Virginia and other states. And then nutrition, yes. $12,500 for the purchase of a first electric car, yes, unless it imputes something else in the energy space of which Joe Manchin is the head on the Senate committee. Let's go to that second cluster. Okay, here comes the bloodbath. Paid leave, going away. Going away. Take it away. Get rid of it, is what Joe Manchin's going to say. He ain't going to do it. Absolutely, it's not going to survive. Let's go to that third cluster where we similarly have a major bloodbath likely to happen. In that third cluster, we have a lot of checks that come from Medicare expansion, and they are for seniors. The Medicaid gap fix, that would survive because that is a workaround plan between Joe Manchin and Raphael Warnock that will provide a workaround plan for 12 uninsured, 12 states, Republican-led states, that have uninsured citizens in their states. Other than that, and while the free internet would survive, the independent contractors' checks would survive, and the farmers' checks would survive. Other than that, the rest of the third cluster would fall apart. Dental, not going to survive. Vision, not going to survive. Hearing, no. Lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55, absolutely not. That just puts more people on Medicare. And there you go. That is reason why, as a viewer of this channel, you don't know the fate of a negotiated elements of the Build Back Better Act between Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer. You can't roll the dice. And that is why you need to get every fourth stimulus check in this U.S. states. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over those four stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. And step 3, get that incredible newsletter, because that is where those checks are. Also, stay the second half of this video, because we're going to go over each of these incredible checks one at a time. Now, the other issue at hand when you're looking at the Build Back Better Act is the economic data is what supports the fourth stimulus package of the Build Back Better Act. What was that economic data that came in this week, and where did it end the week as well? This will be the week that everyone talked about those retail sales numbers. Those retail sales numbers coming in from everything from Dollar General, Dollar Tree to Macy's and Nordstrom's showed that some Wall Street analysts have it together, and showed us that some Wall Street analysts are really out to lunch. What did we learn this week? We learned this week that not every apple tastes the same, that not every orange is the same color of orange. Why? Because when it came to the retail space, we learned a lot as an economy when we're trying to figure out where we're going. Number one, we learned that the sales of items in the retail space is more dependent right now upon what the product is, not so dependent upon what the consumer is. The consumer play was really the talk of the town when Target and Walmart reported earnings last week. When they had major misses, everyone blamed the consumer. But it wasn't really the case this week. We learned it was not so much the consumer. It was not an issue of whether it's low income or high income. It's not an issue of whether it is a consumer buying items at a high price point or low price point. It was really the items. That's what we learned this week. The reason why Macy's and Nordstrom's kicked it out of the ballpark this week was because they had the product for what was at issue. Americans were getting back to work. They needed to wear that snazzy outfit for a professional work environment in the office, and they went to Macy's. They went to Nordstrom's. They did not go to Target. That is really what happened. They did not go to Target to buy the snazzy new outfit. It was the product that drove the consumer. Then, when we looked at Dick's Sporting Goods, we saw that the consumer did not go hiking this week. Well, maybe today, but they did not go hiking this week because it was a work week. They needed outfits to go to work. Now, why did Dollar General and Dollar Tree cause a lot of commotion this week? Dollar General and Dollar Tree, you may think, is below market, below the market of Target and Walmart. Well, it's a different type of market. It's for real core essentials in the household, and they hit it out of the ballpark. This is about managing supply chain disruption, and this is where the analysts who said it like that got it right. The analysts who said it wrong could not figure it out. Those corporations that had ballpark numbers, that hit it out of the ballpark numbers this week, are the ones that got the right product into the stores at the right time. Walmart and Target did not. Their products came for winter, now in the warm climate, and no one wanted them. The stores that had the right product were the ones that got it at the time that consumers were buying, and that's the ones that killed it. Ross department store did not kill it. Wrong products, wrong time. And it continued to proliferate across the board. Now, the other numbers this week that were far more telling, and many of them came in later in the week, were the following. We ended the week with real shockers of numbers, and those shockers of numbers started with the auto sales numbers. Okay, folks. Now, this is one of two industries I've been reporting for 3 months, in my opinion, is already in recession. The auto sales numbers fell down 24% year to date. YTD means year to date. And this is as industries did not pivot, and this is where the auto industry really thought that the consumer, again, was not educated. We just went over that the consumer was not going to go to Ross and buy or Walmart and buy winter clothing in the summer? We're not stupid. Well, will the consumer buy a car? This is the data we learned on Friday. Will the consumer buy a car when the car lot has less cars on it and the dealership trying to make a lot more profit? $5,000 a profit per car compared to what they were making last year, $2,000. They put less cars on the lot on purpose, the dealers, we learned on Friday, and then they jacked up the price to $5,000 profit to them. Did the consumer buy? Of course not. The consumer did not buy. And this is why auto sales are down year to date 24%. This shows you that corporations that do not understand consumer sentiment, do not understand consumer buying power, and do not understand consumer moods based upon a looming recession are absolutely going to get burned. And the auto industry is the first to go into recession, as reported on this channel the last few months. The next one, guess what? It was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I said it was auto and housing are in recession. And guess which of the two industries that reported horrific numbers based upon really ridiculous pivoting by them in the last few weeks? Auto and housing. So here came the numbers from housing. Housing numbers were dramatically down year to date as well. Let's look at those housing numbers. Whammo. There you go. The housing number sales were down 70% year to date. This is a number that came in on Friday. This is a real-time number. This is not a delayed number based upon, closing and escrow and things like that. Why was housing down year to date 17%? Same situation as cars, just another industry. They took the homes. They had subcontractors asking for more money for labor, so that was a higher cost for them. Then they went and bought the lumber and they bought the items to build the home, and the costs were higher. So what did they do? Did they absorb the costs, or did they really stick it to the consumer? They stuck it to the consumer. They raised the price of the houses dramatically, and what happened? Did the consumer buy? Did the consumer buy the cars when they jacked up the prices? Did the consumer buy the clothing when it was the wrong clothing in the wrong environment? No, they did not buy the houses. And the housing sales are plummeting like you've never seen before. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans are now dropping the price of their house for sale because they're not selling. And this is as the housing market is slumping dramatically. The mortgage industry has surged with a 30-year fixed mortgage from 3% to 5.5% since the month of February. No one can afford a home. So you have less buyers shopping the home. And then what are the housing builders doing? Let's raise the prices on the limited number of buyers we have. And what do they also say? We have great demand. They're just not buying. Great demand, but they're not buying. Demand is buying. Demand is not looking. Also slipping this Friday was the Treasury yields down a little bit on that front as well. This data is all good data for your Build Back Better app because when there's poor economic data, then the Congress wants to give you stimulus. And that is why we're also looking at this number. The new inflationary number released Friday is a number the Federal Reserve relies upon extensively. And that number is one of the gauges of inflation. This is not an inflation number, so don't say inflation's at 4.9%. It's an inflation gauge number. And that inflation gauge number is a number that the Federal Reserve uses on a regular basis, and it came in a little bit lighter than expected. Wall Street expecting the number to come in 5.2%, and it came in at 4.9%. This is a benchmark called the Core Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index. That's a lot to say. That is a mouthful. The Core Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index. Yeah, the CPIE, I think it is, but which one ever it is, it was signaling that the inflation may be easing a little bit. The big news for you is that there's a Build Back Better Act checks coming in the future, but we ain't waiting for those checks. No. We are not waiting for Build Back Better Act checks. We are getting checks tonight. And in this recording, we're going over those 4 stimulus checks that are available in every U.S. state tonight. You can start the effort to get those checks today. I know it's a weekend day. You can go online and apply for those checks today because it's the internet. The internet never sleeps. Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. Step 3, get that newsletter Monday through Friday. And And in the second half of this video, we're going to go over these incredible checks one at a time. But before we do, I also have that breaking news story that developed late Friday. And which one is it? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's sort of like Donald Trump did this actually once. A lot of politicians do this all the time. You're right about to go to a Memorial Day weekend or a 3-day weekend. You drop all the news right before everyone's walking out the door. So the other news that dropped on Friday was the following. Student loan debt forgiveness. Student loan debt forgiveness prompted and caused protests on Friday. Why? Because of my reporting. Don't protest me. The surfboard's really nice. Thank you. No, what went on? Well, over the last 3 months, I've been telling you that the president will, one, forgive $10,000 as the blanket number. Two, that he's holding the number because he wants to use it for the midterm elections, but he also has tensions, pushback from groups that say $10,000 is not enough. And what happened on Friday? A publication published exactly what I had been reporting. A publication, which I will not name, but thank you for giving me credit. The publication ran the story that the president met with those insiders this last week, as I told you they would, and he told them $10,000, as I told you he would. And they said, no, we're not doing $10,000, as I told you they would. What did they do? They protested. I did not expect the protests. The protests were very angry. Very angry. They said it's a slap in the face to offer them $10,000 for student loan debt forgiveness. Now, let's recap where we are on the student loan debt forgiveness. Remember, this is not an actual bill. This is not an actual law. This is just chatting in the Oval Office about $10,000. The president has forgiven student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation. People went to work in the nonprofit or public sector after graduation. People whose debts were caused by fraud against them by the university. That was Liz Warren's big pitch. Liz Warren's reason for student loan debt forgiveness was that. And guess what he did? He did that completely. Once he did that completely, Liz Warren and Chuck Schumer sort of stayed a little quiet because that was her big reason for student loan debt forgiveness. She also wanted $50,000. Chuck wanted $50,000. Joe Biden, when he ran for president, said, I'm doing 10. Then when he was elected, he said, I'm doing 10. What did he say this week? I'm doing 10. So he was very consistent with his message about 10, and that's why it was easy for me to report. He's doing 10. He's never doing 50,000. In fact, he said to press 2 weeks ago, I'm never doing 50,000. So I'm really not quite clear why these political groups were so surprised when he said 10. This is the same number he's been saying for 2 years, and he previously rebunked a 50,000 as a potential option no less than 3 weeks ago to press in the Oval Office. So why I think this is really where it's going to land is because $10,000 is right in the money. The average amount of student loan debt that is outstanding is $30,000 per borrower. The president is proposing the following: $10,000 for individuals who make $150,000 or less, and for families that make $300,000 or less, it's still $10,000. That means if there's a husband and wife and one individual has student loan debts, he'll forgive it for $10,000. If the family makes more than $300,000, husband and wife, he will not forgive the student loan debts. And the individual makes more than $100,000, your debts will also not be forgiven. And there you go. Very, very interesting across the board. I mean, there's so much to say about it. I'm not going to say in this recording. First of all, let's say you made $100,000 this year and then you get laid off because of the recession. So next year you make nothing. Get your total debts refunded. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's the White House. There we go. Coming up in the second half of this video, we're going to go over the incredible news of those 4 stimulus checks. We don't need to figure this one out. This one's easy. Big checks. You, single, married, with children, without children, SSI, SSDI. It's the great news of a great weekend. We're going to go over those 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Step 1 for you is to subscribe. Subscribe. Go right on this video and hit that subscribe button. Step 2, become a member. And step 3, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday. And in the second half, we're to go over those big checks. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. And in the second half, we're also going to go back over to what's going on with this recession. It's a big night. It's a big evening. We're just getting started. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page on Evenings LALATE. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now in the big second half for evenings LA for May 28th, 2022. Hope you're having a beautiful weekend. It is a gorgeous day, and I'll be recording all weekend along with you this Memorial Day weekend. And tonight, for May 28th, 2022, the great news is that a forced check is in every U.S. state, but it's only going to be reported on this channel. Why? Back in March, viewers of this channel and I were watching the Build Back Better Act negotiations continue, and viewers said, "LA, it's taking too long. Go get me a check. I need a check. I need a forced check right away. Go get me a check. This Build Back Better Act is not happening." Why did they say that to me? Because this is a different channel. This is a different broadcasting company. What we do on this channel is we report the news. We also give you the economic guidance and analysis of the financial markets. And more importantly, we get you checks. This is not a channel that reports on the delivery of the checks. We actually go out and find you the checks and tell you how to get them. And when viewers gave me that initiative, gave me that instruction back in March, go get me some checks, I looked high and low and I found them, lots of them, lots of forced stimulus checks that were done by executive order by Joseph Biden, not covered anywhere else except here because I focus on you. Your financial stability is my focus. Your financial independence is my focus. Your financial freedom is my focus. My focus is not to run the news channel or a cable channel of someone else. My job is to get you money. And that's what we're doing starting right now. I found the checks and I've labeled them with a lettering system, A, B, and C. I'm going to go over each of them one at a time. But first, let's go over the overview of these checks. You qualify for them. As a wonderful longtime viewer named Kat was in the live chat 2 nights ago, she said, "LA, you do eligibility so well. You always explain who qualifies for things. And you always find things that the most people qualify for. So I thank you. These checks you qualify for if you are single, married, with children, without children, if you are on benefits, not on benefits, if you rent, if you own, if you're in every U.S. state." Here we go. The very first check is huge. How did we get here? Let's take a step back for a second. The reason we're here tonight is the same reason we were here the first day of the pandemic. April 25th, 2020, I pressed record. As millions of Americans said, "I need a check. I just lost my job. I need a check. I'm about to lose my business. I need a check because there is big problems for my household." And that's what I did. I showed people and how to get the money and got the money. Going over EIDL grant, EIDL loan, PPP, FPUC, LWA, for so many different people for so many months, $50 million. No one got more people, more money, and no one got more money as a group than you, the Purple Power community. You did such great work. Then, when Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin did not get the second stimulus package done, millions of Americans in December 2020 needed money right away. I stepped forward and I found that money. Rent, utilities, and mortgage. It became Check C later in this recording. When third stimulus was in the works, I had a preview of the legislation exclusively on this channel. I said, if this becomes law, there's a lot of money in there, and it's all Check C money. And it did. Now here we are in May, heading into June of 2022. As millions of Americans are looking at the Build Back Better Act elsewhere, but not you. You're looking right now for that four stimulus check in every U.S. state, and we're going to get it, the first one, starting right this moment. If you're a member of this channel, open up your membership newsletter and follow along right with me. And if you're not a member, become a member right this moment. The first four stimulus check in every U.S. state I've gotten you is a $6,500 to $12,000 check. Yes, this is astronomical sums of money, folks. You heard me right. Not $1,200, $12,000. There's a big difference. I don't play around games with puny little checks that pay your bills for 4 days. I'm here to get your bills paid for 4 months or the entire year. That's why I only look for monster checks, not those ridiculous, puny little checks that social media says, what is this stuff? These are big checks. Four stimulus checks in every USA, yes. Single individual, $75,000 less, yes. Married couple, $150,000, yes. Yes, go get it. This is the homeowners weatherizing grant check, $6,500 to $12,000, check A. How do you get this wonderful check A? So simple. Step 1, subscribe to the channel. Step 2, become a member. Go down in the membership newsletter to where you find check A in it. Then when you find Check A in the membership newsletter, there's going to be a link. You click the link and it sends you right into the website. You go apply for that huge check. And you're done with Check A. You're not done with me because we're going to go then to Check B. Yes, you're going to go and apply for Check B because you're going to grab every darn check you can grab on this channel. You ain't grabbing one check, you're grabbing lots of checks. And this incredible Check B is $15,000 to $80,000. Yeah, you saw that right. $80,000. When was the last time someone got you an $80,000 four stimulus check? You found the channel. Congratulations. You're getting it. Go down in the membership newsletter and get it. So let's go over this check. $15,000 to $80,000. Four stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000 less. Married couple, $150,000 less. And if you are on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, go get it. It is called the Homeowners Grant Check. And that Homeowners Grant Check, how do you get it? So simple. You know the routine. Step 1, subscribe to this channel under the video. Hit that subscribe button. Then become a member. Join under the video where it says join here. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Step 3, get that newsletter delivered to you Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. But again, you ain't done there yet. No, you are not, because I got another check for you. Of course I do. And here we go. It is Check C. Wow, there is the illustrious Check C. MSC, baby. $2,000 a month over 12 months is where it's averaging. Yes, it is the residue of third stimulus, and it is a lot of money. How do you get that Check C? You know the routine. Step 1, subscribe to this channel. Step 2, become a member. Step 3, go down the membership newsletter. And then at Check C, you're not applying in an online website. In the case of Check C, you're making phone calls, about 15 of them. That's about 15 different checks, potentially. And you're picking up the phone and calling. I'm telling you where to call, what to say, and how to say it. That is the incredible Check C. Check C is what we were talking about earlier in this video, and it is the remainder of third stimulus. And that is what started being paid out to the viewership of this channel early last year. It's still being paid out. These are the success stories of what is now Check C. Look at these amount of money for rent. Huge. From $20,000 from Nisi, which is underneath the Richard, which is $22,000, all the way up to Elizabeth. But let's look at the utilities. Wow. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000. Snap Combos is Mark's brother-in-law got $25,000 a year over 10 years. That's $250,000. Here's Nisi. She's in all the live chats. She's adorable. She is the true embodiment of the Purple Power spirit that can be in this channel. She keeps on going back, making calls, getting back more checks every few weeks. About $8,000 every few weeks. I think she's almost at $50,000. She keeps on going back and getting more money. This was then 23. She's over probably $50,000 at the moment. Here's Mark. He was at $32,000. He heard me say, go get more money, Mark. He did. He went to $50,000. Then he went to $100,000. Then he got Check B, $66,000. He went to $166,000. Here's Lorraine. She was at $105,000. Now, then she went to $120,000. She's gone even higher than that. There you go. That is the true success story of you, the Purple Power community. The true success story of viewers in the live chat with you right now. The true success story of people who listen and learn. How do you do this? Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. Step 3, get that newsletter and go down and open it up and pounce Purple Hawks. Let's go over some other items about that starting right now. First, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. It's that little button on the video where it says join here. Click it. It's also on the link in the video. Join here. Purple Hawk, Purple Power Calcino VIP. Third one is make sure you hit that little bell. On the front of the channel, there's a little bell, and you hit it and you set the notifications to all on. All notifications on. Then, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you will get those YouTube alerts. The one at 7 o'clock, there's actually two of them. The one at 7 o'clock that says new LALATE post, and the first line says membership newsletter. It's exactly at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Says in their new newsletter, you click it, it says new post, click the post, you go right into the post, and the post is the newsletter. Meantime, if you've had questions about opening the newsletter, how to get the newsletter after becoming a member, then send me a private message on Facebook at facebook.com/Allied News. I'm here to help, as I've done from day one all the way up to the present. I've made for you an informational, instructional video that explains the newsletter, how to open it, how to find it, how to use it, how to manipulate it. And if you send me a private message on Facebook at facebook.com/Allied News, because you're having if you have an issue with the newsletter, I'll send you that wonderful help video. And with that, go get these incredible checks. You know it's a weekend, but the internet never sleeps. So go get those incredible checks. Now, let's go over to those recessionary pressures and also what's going on with these changing tides of this U.S. economy. It's going to be another week, and the next week we'll have a lot of issues at hand. And the other issues at hand is really, where is this market going? And when I refer to the market, I'm referring to it sort of broadly. The real estate market, the housing market, the recession will go industry by industry before it's broadly felt. And the pressures of this recession are certainly now being understood by millions of Americans. But you got to understand that those interest rates are different than inflation, are different than bear market. What we're going over right now is the recession. The recession that is coming to this U.S. economy is not here yet. And I want you to just differentiate with me right now. What is a recession versus what you're feeling right now? What you're feeling right now is higher inflation. Price of goods out of control. And that inflation is going to cause a lot of instability. That instability will result in layoffs at work. That will result in other instability like the housing market crash. The housing market crash has been caused by inflation. Why? Because the mortgage rates surged from 3 to 5% because Jay Powell battled inflation by raising interest rates. The housing market crash is directly correlated back to Jay Powell. To battle inflation, he raises interest rates. To raise those interest rates, guess what get hit? Guess what hits? The mortgage rate goes up. And so that is why the housing market crash is the direct correlation to what Jay Powell's doing. What also is a direct correlation? The stock market crash. The stock market only really took a crash into a bear market once Jay Powell did what he said he was going to do, even though he gave us guidance, even though we all knew he was doing half basis point. That half basis point hit really is what caused the stock market crash. Now, the bear market that we have currently in the stock market is not the bottom. Don't get confused. Bear market is not where the market goes in a recession. This is the importance I need to go over with you. What I'm going to do for you, I've never done this before, is I'm going to overlay two different graphics at the same time so you see what I'm going to show you. You have one graphic on there that says bear market. Now let's throw it with recession. A bear market without a recession is very different than a bear market with a recession. A bear market without a recession, which is where we are right now because we have not started the recession, but we have started the bear market, is down 26%. That is why we're already down 26%. When a recession adds to a bear market, when we have a recession and a bear market, we go down 48% on average. So that means we have a long way down to go in the stock market crash. You think we're down 20%? That's the bottom? No. Now, what about those stocks like Snap that fell 40% and Target that fell 40%? This may be a little confusing because you see, well, we're already down 40% on them. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the overall market. So the overall market's down 20% and Target is down 40%. That means that Target could go down another 25% because it's going to go along with the market if the entire industry continues to erode. The housing market crash is just getting felt and it's just starting. And that housing market crash will continue in the face of a recession. This is why there's so many issues at hand and why it's so important to be ahead of the ball game. What also happened this week? What also happened this week was a major new briefing coming out of Silicon Valley here in California had the same words that I've been using in recent weeks, just a little bit more scary. My words in recent weeks is that in 90 days from now, we will have a stimulus stampede. A stimulus stampede I describe as people looking for stimulus. Why do I say 90 days out, and what do I think they'll be looking for? I say 90 days out because I don't think that the true impact of all this bad economic environment will be felt by them until 90 days out. Economic downturn, whatever it is, I'm not going to give it a name just yet. 90 days out, they're going to feel it, and then they're going to be stampeding for stimulus. What are they going to say? They're going to refer, in my prediction, to all the instruments they got in 2020, presuming they're still around. And then when I say they're not around, they're going to be surprised. We have viewers in the live chat in the last few days who are absolutely wonderful, who are really the eyes and ears of what's happening in America. And they have said in the live chat that they have been in Walmart and they suddenly see no store merchants at the checkout stand. It's all done by the electronic scanning machine. Suddenly, in other stores, big box retailers, they say they go in there and they don't see anyone in the stores suddenly. Moreover, viewers are saying, I've been talking to my friends and family members, and they say they're being laid off of their jobs. This is data you see before I see. This is data you see when you go in and see the price of bread surging out of control. You see a shortage of bread in certain supermarkets. You see this data before I see it. I always use the analogy of, I'm a kid in front of a surfboard. What about those Wall Street analysts who are talking about the situation of Walmart or Target's sales activity on the floor when the analysts themselves are in their cushy Miami Beach mansion on the water? They don't really know what's going on. You are the eyes and ears. And that is why I'm predicting 90 days out from here is a stimulus stampede. Stimulus stampede is not because of the recession. It's because of really the impact of this downturn of the economy. What will people be asking for? They will be saying, hey, do you have some EIDL grant or EIDL loan for my business? I don't have people coming in the store anymore. I don't. The program doesn't exist anymore. Do you have some unemployment assistance because I just got laid off? What about that FPUC, $600 a week? Did Nancy ever get that done? No, she did not. PUA? No, it doesn't exist anymore. UI, extended weeks of benefits? No, things don't exist anymore. People, in my prediction, will be coming in this channel 90 days from now and asking for the 2020 instruments of stimulus. Those 2020 instruments of stimulus do not exist anymore. And then they will pivot and say, okay, well, what about the Build Back Better Act? Not a law yet either. So the response will be, well, thankfully to the viewership of this channel, who gave me the instructions, the order back in March to go find them checks, I found them checks. And those checks are in every U.S. state. The viewer finding this channel 90 days out will say, do those checks still exist? And here is where the question mark rests. One of the things I've been very successful at, and the other thing that I cannot do, are very different. One, I've been very successful at finding money. The other thing I cannot do is I cannot tell you how long the money's around. So I really cannot tell you how long this four stimulus checks in every U.S. state will be funded for. Will they be available in 90 days from now? I don't know. That is why it's so good that you have found this channel. This is so good that you are a viewer of this channel. This is so good that you're a member of this channel, because you're going to go get these checks right now. You know that in 90 days from now, it's going to be a stimulus stampede. Now, what was that word that came in on Friday from those financial analysts back up in Silicon Valley? A scary word. Carnage. They describe it as financial carnage coming in 3 months from now. I believe it's going to be very serious in 2023. Believe it me, I do believe. That recession will hit this economy like a brick in early 2023 and continue for another year to 2024. Wall Street analysts, well, no one was talking about recession like I was back in February. I was the only U.S. broadcaster reporting that there would be a recession for 2 years starting next year, back last February. Then Deutsche Bank started reporting on it in April. Even to this day, most banks say maybe, possibly, likely. But 81% of Americans polled by a recent financial channel said that they believe it will be happening later this year. If Americans are starting to think the recession is that close, consumer sentiments, consumer spending, consumer buying power may dramatically change. Again, you got to go with the consumer. If the consumer thinks that there's something more abrupt happening right now, whether they're right or wrong, that could shift and move the compass. Let me explain in another word. The other word is very simple. If you feel a big pinch in your dollar tonight, you may think it's caused by the recession. Say, the recession is really hurting my dollar. And then suddenly people start repeating that, and suddenly we can go into recession sooner because everyone thought that the economic downturn happening right now is recession. This is where things get very entangled. So, with so much economic uncertainty right now, so much downturn in this economy by so many different reasons. The GDP covered this week, the labor numbers covered on Thursday, the interest rate numbers covered on Wednesday, and the housing and the retail sales and the auto sales covered tonight. You see how so many economic changing forces are at play in this economy, sending it downward. And that's also a reason why you need to watch the videos throughout the week. The changing news throughout this channel every hour on the day is so dramatic, as this channel takes a major pivot and has a major news assignment coming to you in the next few weeks. I'll keep it a secret for now. But I want you to get these big checks. Get these big checks because the fire's on your feet tonight and you deserve them. And that stimulus stampede, or whether they call it carnage, will be coming in 90 days from now. Step one, subscribe to this channel. Go right on this video right now and hit that subscribe button. Step two, join this channel. Join where it says become a member. Get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. And go get those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. I will be with you all weekend long recording. And we'll be watching all the changing, developing details. And of course, I'll be watching what happens on Sunday. Who knew that the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, we could have a major deal that impacts on the oil internationally? Yes, that is a European Commission meeting happening on Sunday in Brussels. I'll have the latest on whether that deal is solidified and whether the complete embargo of Russian oil is now law as of this Sunday. It's a big weekend with a lot just getting started. Stay informed, stay focused, stay here, and stay with LALATE for more.